Good evening, race fans, to round number 6 of the 2025 JUICYSPYDER Studios Truck Series here in the Elite Racing League. Round number 6 takes us to Richmond, Virginia at Richmond Raceway, a site that has often hosted many cut-off races and championship races. Some fans and long-time drivers of the series might remember Scott Crump winning his 2023 A title at this very track, his home track here. But after only 5 races have ticked off, we now come to an historic venue both in real life and in this Elite Racing League. My name is William White. Alongside me, both in the commentary box and in race control, multi-time Elite champion Mathieu for Pride Racing, and of course Jesse Rasimas, past Truck Series champion, is also up in the production box. We have got a box office night ahead of you as qualifying has now just concluded here at Richmond Raceway. You see the cars beginning to line up on the grid, and here is your starting grid for the Richmond 150. It's Unacceptable Racing's JP Phillips on pole position in the number 34, just half a tenth of a second ahead of, in position number 2, truck number 2, it's Cody McCorkle. Tom Bourne, championship leader for Aggressive Eagle Esports, he'll be in the 61 starting 3rd. Championship 4 from the development series, Michael Harsack, he'll start in P4. Gavin Higgins, another one of those Championship 4 drivers from the development series, he'll start 5th for KOR. Caleb Pacuma for Lake Norman will start 6th. Past Cup Series champion Gerald Campbell will start 7th, alongside reigning Cup Series champion Justin Wadsworth in 8th. And it's an all Lake Norman top 10 there. Chris Wright and Frank Foti rounding out those 2 positions there. Dylan Havir also for Lake Norman in 11th. And Joe Francis for Aggressive Eagle Esports in the 55 in P12. Matthew, you want to take us through 13th to 24th?
We got a Leighton Norgard 13th, Jeff Ryan 14th, Jess Story 15th, Seth Rawls rolling off 16th, Neil Rutt 17th, Jeff Green 18th, Jaden Rasimas 19th, Connor Thomas 20th, Brent Jones 21st, Richard Hearn 22nd, and Josh Adams 23rd, and Austin and Abnett 24th.
Next batch of cars, Carl Hanshaw for Carl Hanshaw Racing. He'll round up the top 25, and it's David Huckleberry. ERN's Dave Huckleberry will start 26th ahead of Oswego winner Dusty Dewar, Patrick Hakey, Mitch Havir, and Ryan Campbell for Rycam Racing. Rounds out the top 30. Scotty Yancey, Harrison Talon, row 16. Shay Mitchell for BOR Sim Sports in P33 alongside Aaron Yancey in 34th. Josh Osborne for JOM will be in 35th with Sam Boutwell for South Shore Racing in position number 36. Rob Mooney and Jay Connor will round out your 38 car fleet that will take on Richmond Raceway for tonight's race. You see the formation laps now just underway, 2 of them at this track, as of course it is under 1 mile long. Obviously an unfamiliar voice to many of you on the RN this year. Robert Hill Jr. has unfortunately come down with a bit of sickness. He hasn't got a very good voice, so I've had to deputise, saying that I'm a little under the weather, but I can at least speak. So I would say 1-0 for me in that regard. But now on our final formation up, just quickly, Matthew Weeks, race control. Who's your pick for tonight? Obviously, you've witnessed the first 5 races. You won the last one, so you've got a far greater breadth of knowledge on these boys than I do.
I think where it's hard to pass at night here at Richmond, I think Phillips is going to get his first truck win.
JP Phillips, first Truck Series win, never a bad shout. You see a lot of storied, experienced drivers that know how to win on these short tracks. Later in the season, deeper in the field, we'll see if they can make their way forward, but green flag is about to come out for the Richmond 150. We are underway, and it is a far better start for JP Phillips. He gets a car length there on Shift Esports as Cody McCorkle as Tom Bourne, championship leader, now looking for the race lead. Incisive move to the inside of the 34. We'll see if he can get the job done. He has managed to stay on the inside, still 2 by 2. We're seeing offset 3 in the back of the pack. It's still Tom Bourne hanging to the inside of the 34 of JP Phillips. Will JP Phillips get to lead a lap at the line just by a hair? 1/100th of a second to the advantage of JP Phillips, and that'll be a bonus point for the cause of the number 34 in the championship fight. But 2 by 2 still. But it's Tom Bourne just eking up the advantage going through the corner. JP Phillips gets the speed back on the exit. Who leads lap number 2 at the line here? It looks like it might just about be JP Phillips again by a big advantage that time. The outside working well for the number 34 Chevrolet. You see Cody McCorkle and Gavin Higgins there in tow tightly behind those two drivers, with Gerald Campbell in 5th place. Just behind them you see Michael Harsack and Justin Wadsworth there jockeying for position a little further back, and it's a Lake Norman 8, 9, 10 there as well, with Chris Wright and Dylan Javier side by side there. Caleb Pakuma in the mix as well. See just a Leighton Norgard at the back of your picture there, but still side by side for the lead. Matthew Weeks, lap 4 of 150 now. JP Phillips will just about get clear. He's got 3 wide into turn 3 there. Cody McCorkle way upstairs, and that's Gavin Higgins already looking for those incisive big money moves, and the caution is out. Just as I was about to bring in Matthew Weeks, he's going to have to go do some race control duties as we have our first safety car of the evening. We'll see who caused that particular incident, as it was a bit further back. You saw the big moves there, 3 wide from Gavin Higgins, Cody McCorkle and Tom Bourne, as we focus in here on the 24th Covered Bridge Racing's Michael Harsack, and he just gets loose off the corner, saves it but not quite well enough to avoid bringing out the yellow flag. So kind of a non-incident there. And you know, a good job from Michael to actually save that. Definitely unfortunate to have brought out the yellow, but will be the cause of our first caution of the evening. Obviously incredibly easy to have these trucks step out on you. Typically Richmond in the trucks can build quite loose, especially on corner exits. You try and get the advantage on your rival coming out of the corners. You want to use as much throttle pedal as you can, and sometimes just overstep that boundary, and that's what we saw in the 24, but managed to save it. No damage done to any vehicles, but it does mean that we are under yellow flag conditions for the first time tonight, Matthew.
Yeah, just an unlucky self spin there, but luckily no damage to other trucks there. It looked like we had another incident before that as well, right before the yellow come out, between the 30 truck and Nabnet. So, you know, a little loose coming off the exit, like you talked about. This track is notorious for being a little loose on the exit.
Definitely, especially, you know, coming out of turn 2, you have that crest as the track elevates and then comes back down. Can definitely unsettle these trucks. These trucks obviously tend to, with their lower horsepower and their aerodynamic packages, actually tend to build on the tight side, but doesn't quite work the same in Richmond, as we now, I believe, are going to begin to double up behind the safety car. Lights are still on, so we'll have another pace lap before we double up. Lap 8 of 150. JP Phillips still leads the way, holding off a hard charging Tom Bourne in the early stages, trying to get the lead. Speaking of Tom Bourne, there he is, championship leader, 9 points ahead of past Cup Series champion Gerald Campbell, Josh Adams, Cody McCorkle there, 3rd on the tarmac, 4th in the championship table, and Justin Wadsworth there you just see in the back of your picture there in the green and white Lake Norman truck. Rounds up the top 5 in the points, but you see the top 14 all above 100 points. They're all separated by less than 50 points, so it's still all to play for when it comes to that playoff bubble. Obviously it is winning you're in, but if you can get those spare 1 or 2 points, being able to take a checker flag, it could be all the difference between making the playoffs and failing to make the playoffs. At 9 of 150 now, it is 1 to green. You see the cars begin to go back to being double fouled. JP Phillips elects to take the inside line for this particular restart. That will likely be the choice for all the drivers on every single restart from this point onwards. There's obviously,
yeah, I was surprised he picked the outside to start the race.
Yeah, definitely a surprise there, but yeah, I think only a track like Bristol or the North Hawkesbury would be the only track you'd sort of want to let to take the outside, at least on the short track side of things. But Fred, the pace car driver, will now begin to pull into the pit lane. He'll hand over to Barney the flag man, and there goes JP Phillips stepping on the loud pedal, and he's going to burst away from the fuel as the tyre grip begins to scatter somewhat, potentially a concertina effect further back in the pack, causing everyone to disperse somewhat. But it's Cody McCorkle up into 2nd. Tom Bourne with a massive disadvantage, of course, starting on the outside, has to wait on JP Phillips to hit the loud pedal. Cody McCorkle and Gavin Higgins able to slip right through into 2nd, 3rd. Bourne down to 4th, but we do have another yellow flag for an incident further back. We are focusing here on the 47 of Sam Boutwell. See Osborne just in front, but that is the 75 of Yancey just getting into the back of him. Spinning the 47 360 degrees. Everyone manages to avoid. The 30 truck also manages to slow down. And second safety car of the evening. We know cautions breed cautions, Matthew. Is that going to be something we see a lot of tonight? Drivers just driving a bit too hard going into these corners.
Yeah, everyone knows on the restarts that's the best chance you can get, have to really gain a spot or lose spots there. So you're trying to get all you can, and there, right there, it looked like he was going for a gap that was kind of there, but it wasn't all the way there.
A lot of give and take going to have to be exercised in this race if we want to finish this side of the century, I think, with how much of a chaotic affair these short track races tend to be in the Elite Racing League. Richmond, no stranger to a caution fest or two in its tenure on the Elite calendar. But JP Phillips still does lead the way, of course. Having had control of that restart, he was able to dictate when we set off as soon as he got in that blue Geico restart zone they're about to pass through. Again, you'll see it on the apron and on the outside wall. There you go. That is the point where he is allowed to hit the loud pedal whenever he wants. And of course, Tom Bourne obliged to react to that. Gives an intrinsic advantage to everyone down on the bottom that can focus on the rear bumper of the control car, as opposed to having to look left to see exactly when they are going. And that is why Cody McCorkle and Gavin Higgins have been able to profit from that, get themselves both a position each on the restart. But Tom Bourne definitely could still have been caught sleeping. It's certainly an art form, getting at these restarts now when you are not the control car, when you're stuck on the outside, especially on a track like this. 150 laps, Matthew. Of course, they don't go quickly under green flag conditions. You know, you're seeing laps around the 20-30 second mark, but still they go fairly quickly under caution. 15 laps nearly ticked off. That'll be a tenth of the way through. Do you think that with this being a slightly shorter affair, certainly in terms of mileage, that we're going to see potentially more cautions, breeding cautions, as drivers will soon feel like they're beginning to run out of time?
Yeah, it's 150 laps around here is not a lot of laps, and it goes by quick under green, so I could see it happening. But these guys know. I think they'll get in the rhythm here and we'll start knocking off these laps.
Certainly hope so. Not a lot for me to commentate under yellow, that is for sure, but we see now double file down the back straight. We're about to get going once again. It's JP Phillips, pole sitter, that will once again have control of the field when he gets into the Geico restart zone. Cody McCorkle will now be tasked with reacting on the outside. Gavin Higgins, you could argue, there's a real good chance of getting another position on this restart, right up the back of the 34, looking to get every inch he can get. And we are back green here at Richmond Raceway, and there you see already the advantage that the inside has. As Gavin Higgins tries to go down the inside of Cody McCorkle, tries to go down the inside of JP Phillips. Bold move from the young man in the 20, and he looks to potentially get this spot. JP Phillips gets a bit loose, almost a truck length clear, and he is clear. Into the lead goes the 20 of Gavin Higgins. For the first time tonight, we have a lead change, and that is a bold move from that young man. JP Phillips, though, will come back at him into turn one, has a look, decides better of it for now. Lap 16 of 150, new leader 20 of Gavin Higgins, as here comes Gerald Campbell. 2 spots gained on the restart, Matthew. He's up to third.
Yeah, Gerald's been running really good in these trucks, and he looks pretty quick. And Gavin, what a move right there! That's how you take the lead. You catch the guy who started the race on the lead off guard with the late dive into one. Just get up underneath him and just pull away. Gavin's been pretty quick on these short tracks too, so.
Definitely has the pace on the short tracks. Obviously got pole at Oswego Speedway. That was back in round 3. You could argue was in contention for the win right until the end. Dustin Dewar took the checkered flag on that particular occasion, but Gavin Higgins was in the fight right till the very end. But you see now he's absolutely flying up ahead. You're seeing some battles between the late Norman Motorsports trucks in around the outskirts of the top 10, but nearly half a second already between Gavin Higgins and JP Phillips. We know how quick this kid is around the short tracks especially, but do you begin to wonder, Matthew Weeks, is he beginning to use a little bit too much too early, or is this really true representative pace that he has on the field here?
It's good pace, but I'm worried. I will worry about it because Richmond is good about, you feel good, you feel like you're flying out there leading, but it will eat up your tires quicker than a lot of other tracks, a lot of short tracks. So he better keep the toes and the wheels underneath him there and take care of his stuff while he's leading.
Yeah, one thing that the eagle-eyed amongst you might notice is that the interval does ebb and flow a lot. In terms of a net gain, Higgins is gaining a lot on JP Phillips. That gap does extend now to over 6 tenths. But you see, it's when they're going into the corner, he's gaining nearly a tenth on Phillips, but then loses the majority of that coming off the exit. I do wonder if he's beginning to overuse that right front tire. All of it in on the entry. See again, another tenth of a second gained. Is he using too much front tire to get that car turned in, and will he pay for that later on? You'll have to wait and see, but the longer we go yellow after yellow, speaking of, Jeff Ryan hard into the wall. And I think it's the 0-1 of Josh Adams. We stay green. Now we have the yellow flag coming out as the gap at the front did go up to about 7 tenths there. Gavin Higgins will have control of the field next time by, but a big crash into turn 3. Jeff Ryan already getting loose there in front of the 38, collects Adams. Big impact for the 0-1. Hearn and the 11 as well. Dusty Dewar hard into that particular calamity as well. And the number 1 of Jaden Rasimas as well involved in that particular accident. What seemed like just Jeff Ryan getting loose has involved about half a dozen cars there, Mathieu. Is that the sort of accident that we're going to be prone to here at Richmond tonight, as cars get loose on exit, begin to bang doors, and not a lot of room to go when you've got that happening in front of you?
Yeah, this a little touch right there, and then you get a little wiggly, and once you start wiggling like that, it's hard to save. And I bet all them trucks behind him are hoping he would just turn down, you know, down to the apron and get away from everybody. But badly enough, Josh Adams was down there to stop that from happening. Just bad spot for Adams, just unlucky yet again.
Definitely a victim of circumstance was the 0-1, as was the 32 we run on board with now. A couple of heavy impacts there for Dusty Dewar. Obviously, we mentioned he's already won a race this season and has a decent playoff bid mounting, but that isn't going to help his chances one bit there, as there will certainly be some damage to that number 32 machine. He'll have that 10-2 under caution, no doubt, and this will be the first time this race, I'm sure, where we will see a substantial amount of cars head to pit road, definitely for repairs further back in the field, but this is where tyre strategy comes into it. We'll see who dips below the yellow line to go into the pits. They're all hugging the apron. Higgins stays out, Phillips stays out. Everyone looks to be staying out for the time being, but you imagine the drivers further back that were involved in that crash might want to deputise their pit crew for some repair jobs on their virtual machines, but still no one taking it this far back in the field. Here comes Jeff Ryan, the prime car in that instant. He'll certainly want to get that truck serviced and back out onto the racetrack, hopefully on the lead lap, but in as best a spot that circumstances can award that number 3 truck. But it's still on lap 25 of 150. We are a sixth of the way through this race, and it's a new leader in the 20 of Gavin Higgins, looking to take his first win of the season and mount a big playoff and potentially championship bid here in that number 20. He has looked solid a lot of the races, got a pole already this season, is just looking for his first checkered flag under caution here. And we are now officially 1 to green. Gavin Higgins elects to take the inside. JP Phillips will join him on row number 1 at Campbell, Corcoran and Bourne. The top 5. You see a Leighton Norgard as well emerging into the top 10 for the first time tonight. We'll see if we can get any more theatrics from the number 12. He appeared in the championship 4 here in 2023A, where this race track held the championship race, so he certainly knows how to perform on this stage. We'll see if he can go 9 places better, but right now he's got a lot of talented quick trucks to get through as we enter turns 3 and 4. Soon his car will pull off, and it will be Gavin Higgins with control of the field. The green flag will now wave, and it's Gavin Higgins with an electric start there as the field again scatters, trying to get the best jump that they can, but it's already 0.3 of a second lead for Gavin Higgins, as Gerald Campbell now to the inside of the 34 of JP Phillips. Cody McCorkle there in tow. We fight side by side for second place. How hard will they go for each and every position they can get with the cautions that have been coming out absolutely rapidly here? It looks like Gerald Campbell will soon assume control of position number 2. JP Phillips will try and hang on the right rear of that 00 trying to not give him an inch and try and maintain the exit momentum all for himself, but I think he might be fighting a losing battle up on the high side there, certainly in terms of tyre longevity, if it stays like this for a substantial amount of laps. Cody McCorkle with a bit of a tank slapper on the exit of turn 4. We're now 3 abreast for P4 here as Tom Bourne moves incisively to the inside of the 2. Justin Wadsworth to the outside of Cody McCorkle. We have another yellow. Another caution further back in the field here. Just as we're having a 3 wide fight for 4th, we have yet been robbed of another tight race here. More carnage further back in the pack. It's the 84 getting into the 32. That's Rob Mooney into Dustin Dewar. And again, Josh Adams and Jeff Ryan involved in their own accidents again. And that is the 01 potentially stuck, wedged in the outside retaining barrier. That'll be hugely unfortunate for the Juicy Spider truck if he cannot continue. But you see there, the 84 of Rob Mooney just drifting up a little too much, and the 32 of Dustin Dewar, an innocent bystander in there, as are the 01 and 3 caught up, trailing behind that particular incident. And that will bring out our 4th safety car of the evening. At 31 of 150. And Gavin Higgins does lead this race at the 1/5 mark. But again, we are seeing some chopping and changing up at the sharp end of the pack. JP Phillips drops down to 3rd on that last restart. Of course, Gerald Campbell managed to get the jump on him. There's Justin Wadsworth as well, reigning Cup Series champion, managed to go up to 4th. Tom Bourne still in 5th. Cody McCorkle there, down 2 spots there, having gotten loose on the exit of turn 4 on a previous lap, and Wadsworth and Bourne were simply there to pounce on a seemingly small error from the 2, but you make those small mistakes and you pay the price. We'll see who comes down the road. Here's the 01 of Josh Adams, 1 lap down, will attend his pit crew for some repairs to that Toyota Tundra. Still the field electing to stay out. Minimal tyre wear yet to be in play here, with a lot of yellow flag laps allowing these tyres to cool back down, essentially resetting a good chunk of the damage that would have been done to them under green flag full bore conditions. So still, I would imagine these tyres are in fairly good nick to be going pretty much 100% full power. But of course, if we get a long green flag run, it will then be a test of who can go the longest and who can treat it more like a marathon as opposed to a sprint. But you'd have to say those treating it like a sprint are being rewarded so far with these short runs. But of course, that is a problem that can compound itself. More driving mistakes, more cautions, more driving mistakes, more cautions, and you can imagine how that might turn into something of a boring caution fest. We hope that it doesn't devolve into that particular scenario, but we are 1 degree on lap 33 of 150 to end our 4th safety car procession of the evening. And I certainly hope that we begin to get a bit more green flag running. It'll be Gavin Higgins that has control of the restart for the 2nd time tonight, having taken the lead from JP Phillips, the pole sitter, who now sits in 3rd. Gerald Campbell between those 2 particular trucks on the scoring pylon. It's Wadsworth, Bourne, McCorkle, Wright, Javier, Foti and Norgard. The rest of your top 10 here comes in green to end that 33 end of 4th caution period here at Richmond Raceway. It's the Richmond 150. We're almost a third of the way done. Gavin Higgins will step on the loud pedal in the Geico restart zone, and we are off once again. It's a decent restart, all things considered, from Gerald Campbell, only 2 tenths back, but it's enough for JP Phillips to find a move to the inside of the 00. But I think the 00 will have enough to get it on the exit and get clear of the 34. Here comes Justin Wadsworth now in the number 6 truck, potentially to the outside of the 34. Top 2 trucks are clear, single file. Wadsworth will try and go around the outside of JP Phillips, who certainly looks good on the exit. Does the reigning Cup Series champion. He's up into Furlong on the pylon, but of course this fight far from settled as they continue to jockey for positions at the sharp end of the field between Bourne and McCorkle, between Wright and between Javier there. Foti and Norgard just about settling that particular scrap for P9 and P10 as Joe Francis begins to get himself into the mix there to the inside of the 12 and 41. Still, this fight goes on for P3 between Justin Wadsworth and JP Phillips. Still, McCorkle and Bourne fight for their respective positions too. All the while, the front 2 begin to pull away. It's Gavin Higgins by 4 tenths of a second over Gerald Campbell as Josh Osborne begins to split at the back of the pack. down the back straight, and it'll be the 5th caution of the evening as the 07 goes around at the back of the pack. And we'll see just exactly what caused that, but it looks certainly like a single car incident there.
Yeah, just looks like a little self spin there. Look, didn't hit the wall, didn't hit no other trucks.
Yeah, I'll have to see. Here's your instant replay courtesy of Robilus Photography. Brent Jones on his outside. I think he didn't have much to do with this particular mishap, and he certainly didn't. Josh Osborne manages to hold the brakes, managed to save it, managed to keep it straight. Fair play to the 07 with a good save there. But again, it's that crest, it's that undulation, that change of elevation off of turn 2 that catches a lot of drivers out. It can bottom out the car, can unsettle the car, and that is what happens if you're not there to react in time. But no harm, no foul really for the 07. A rather inconsequential single car self-spin as we do reach the quarter way mark in this particular race here. Gavin Higgins still leads from Gerald Campbell. Justin Wadsworth did manage to get P3 from JP Phillips, who, since relinquishing the lead from Gavin Higgins, has not had the potency on the restarts that he has needed, and it's caused him to slowly but surely cascade down the standings somewhat. He now finds himself back in 4th place, 3 places down on where he was at the beginning of this event. Cody McCorkle as well did manage to get past Tom Bourne there for P5. Another driver doing well inside the top 10. You also see Mitch Havere, or Dylan Havere rather, and Chris Wright did swap places, 7th and 8th for those 2 drivers. Norgard did manage to get past Frank Foti. He's up to P9 slowly but surely. Progress up the field for some of these drivers, but still a lot remaining the same up at the sharp end of the field. Only one lead change, and that was of course Gavin Higgins taking JP Phillips around 15 laps ago, and it is the lead that the young man has not yet relinquished. Coming to lap 40 here, we'll see if the pace car lights do turn off this time. But of course, Mathieu, 110 to go. I wouldn't say it's go-go time just yet, but you think with sort of the rapid amount of cautions that we are having, is it only going to exacerbate that feeling of having to go now and potentially compounding our issue with more and more yellows?
Yeah, you're just running out of laps and running out of time, and stage points are coming up at 10 laps on lap 50, so people are going to be wanting more right there too, because some of these guys are really needing those points to try to make a point push for the playoffs. So it's going to get interesting here. Hopefully after the stage we clean it up and get some racing in.
I would like to think that we'd have a cleaner stage 2 than we've had in stage 1 here. Of course, you do mention quite validly that 10 laps time stage, of course, we dished out 10 points for first, 1 point for 10th. As Gavin Higgins will work his way into the restart zone, and it's another good restart for the number 20, certainly better than last time. Gerald Campbell somewhat caught sleeping, and Justin Wadsworth could well pounce on this particular occasion here. The 6 does manage to get to the inside of the aggressive Eagle 00, but very solid through turns 1 and 2 is Gerald Campbell. He manages to retain P2. Wadsworth manages to retain P3. JP Phillips though making a charge on the outside. Pacuma with a big dive down to the inside of a Leighton Norgard, who has lost places on this restart. Now finds himself middle 3 wide. Brent Jones, his teammate, on the outside. 9 to go in this first stage here. Caleb Pacuma on the inside. Leighton Norgard on the outside as they fight for P12. And Leighton Norgard, a lot of his hard work undone as he is losing many positions. The 75 drives it in deep into turn 3, almost into the back there of Mitchell Havere. But carnage avoided for now as everyone trying to put the loud pedal on, trying to get all the stage points they can. But another caution, 6th of the evening, further back in the running order, and that will set up a couple lap dash for the stage. But Dustin Dewar and I believe Connor Thompson have been involved, and Josh Adams just getting into the back of him, turns the 32 around off of turn 4, and that will spell an end to that particular green flag run, one that was fairly action-packed, but definitely going to set up quite the chaotic affair coming to the end of the stage here. We'll have another angle of it courtesy of Robilus Photography on board with Josh Adams in the JUICYSPYDER truck. Just tags the back of the JD Hilltops Salvage Silverado, and the 32 goes around for a little 360-degree spin, and we're under caution for the 6th time tonight with 6 laps to go. Gavin Higgins still leads this race for KR1 Motorsports as Aggressive Eagles. Gerald Campbell that retains P2 on the restart, looking for a healthy helping of stage points for his championship push. Justin Wadsworth is in 3rd. Shift Esports, Cody McCorkle is in 4th. JP Phillips from Acceptable Racing, another position lost on the restart. He is down to P5. Tom Bourne in the 61 is 6th. Late Norman's Chris Wright in 7th. Frank Foti, obviously father of 7-time champion Tyler Foti, he is in 8th. Dylan Havir in 9th, and 2000 NASCAR Busch Series champion is in 10th. We'll see if anyone takes the pit road this time by. I would hazard a guess and say no. There's only 5 to go at the end of the stage, and no one's tyres will be particularly worn. Gavin Higgins does not elect to do so, neither does anyone behind him. And I would think that we would be coming to the 1 to green this time by. The pace car lights stay on. So I think we'll come to green in a couple laps time. So 5 to go in stage number 1, but of course we are under caution conditions. But you see potentially some mind games here as Gerald Campbell hanging on the right rear of Gavin Higgins. Is that potentially just sending a message to the young man there in the 20 of just, I am here and I am ready to fight for every single position here. Obviously the runs become shorter and shorter, meaning the opportunities to make the moves become less and less, and I think potentially some mind games from the 00 Mathieu.
Oh yeah, Gerald is about playing some mind games with people. He cues up Mike messing with people under caution, messes with them. He's all about that.
Well, definitely mental forces you've needed, I would say, for the ability to be able to win multiple championships in this league. I think being able to dish it out as well and getting ahead of your opponent, definitely not a bad skill to have. We'll see if Gavin Higgins can hold on for a stage win here at Richmond Raceway. There'll be 3 laps to go at the line. It'll be essentially a green, white, checkered restart for the stage here. Gavin Higgins, see, weaving down the straight, trying to get those tyres as warm as possible. He will have control of this restart, and he looks to have been fairly potent in the restart zone tonight. The 20, the 00, your front row, Wadsworth, McCorkle in tow, potentially looking to capitalise on any mistakes from these drivers. We enter the restart zone now. Green flag is back waving, and it's a brilliant restart for Gavin Higgins. Campbell potentially sleeping there, and Justin Wadsworth will look to capitalise. We know how good Campbell has been on the outside through 1 and 2, and again you see it again right on the door of Justin Wadsworth as those two jockey for position. There will be no caution at the conclusion of this stage, but you do wonder, will drivers begin to start leaning on each other as stage points are being offered now? 2 to go in stage 1. It'll end at lap 50, come to lap 51. Justin Wadsworth does have half a truck length on Gerald Campbell, but he looks to claw it all back as we're again 3 wide. Chris White inside there looking to gain potentially 2 positions for the price of 1 here is JP Phillips, still cascading down the order, down to 7th now if he is unsuccessful in his bid to keep Chris Wright behind. But now white flag in the stage, and it's Gavin Higgins leading by 0.6 of a second over Justin Wadsworth. Gerald Campbell and Cody McCorkle single file behind them, as is Tom Bourne. This is your highest up the field fight, and it's the fight for 6th, but we have a yellow, and that will end the stage as there is a crash further back in the pack for the 7th safety car of the evening. Gavin Higgins is your stage 1 winner. He will collect 10 points for his championship bid. Points will be distributed further down the pack into the top 10. But we focus on the 47 of Sam Boutwell for this Robalis instant replay, and that's because there is a big crash up ahead, and that is the 75 with a massive impact into the inside retaining wall. Sam Boutwell unfortunately collected in that incident. As we'll have a look further back up the pack, it's Yancey and Hearn, and that's just Jesse Rasimas getting to the back of a checking up 75, and that is a big hit. Almost definitely a race ender for the 75, as you'd imagine his left front suspension would have been crumpled majorly by that diagonal impact there. And I fear that that might be race done for the 75. You see smoke coming out of the back of that truck, but Gavin Higgins wins the stage. Another angle here, just into the back of the 75. The one definitely unsighted, is potentially not anticipating the checkup from Yancey. Everyone manages to avoid. There's Dave Huckleberry, just crawling past that incident. Safety first approach for a lot of these drivers further back in the pack. But Gavin Higgins, nowhere to be seen. I don't know if we've only got the feed up here, but I know Matthew Weeks, you're in race control. Did Gavin Higgins elect to pit under this caution period?
I would. I would right here. You got your stage points now. Put tires on it, and let's just hope that the yellows keep coming out, and you get up there and you survive. And because everyone's gonna have to pit for fuel eventually anyway, so I'll go ahead and get it out of the way now.
Definitely looks to be something of a split strategy. You see some drivers, their names a bit further down on the scoring pile than you would have seen earlier in this race. The likes of Gavin Higgins, as well as Cody McCorkle, Justin Wadsworth, Tom Bourne, JP Phillips, and Leighton Norgard. All 6 of those drivers were up near the front. They have sacrificed those positions for fresh tyres. They will have a massive tyre advantage on the trucks ahead of them, and potentially fuel advantage too if they can make another just under 100 laps on a tank of gas.
I just went and looked at the scoring information, and it looks like everybody in the front of the field actually did enter pit road. So I don't know if Gavin might have been hit with a speeding penalty.
That would be definitely a debilitating penalty to receive, and obviously he had no tyre advantage, but Wadsworth, McCorkle, Bourne, Phillips, Norgard as well back there with him. So potentially a mass pit road mishap for all 6 of those drivers, but regardless, however way it's shaken out, Gerald Campbell does lead this race with Chris Wright, 2023 ARCA Series champion, in second place there. Frank Foti and Dylan Havea make up an all Lake Norman row 2. Jeff Green there in P5 of Caleb Kumar is outside. We'll see what the 00 can do on this restart. It will be our second lane change of the evening. Or lead change rather, no lane changes please, that's very illegal, can't be doing that. Race control, Matthew Weeks will be on your case for any lane changes, but we all seem to be okay on this particular restart. There's Gerald Campbell that shoots off into the lead. It's Frank Foti looking for potentially for a way past his teammate Chris Wright. Obviously his dad Tyler will have been teaching him a thing or two, or his son Tyler rather will have been teaching him a thing or two on the iRacing Simulator, being a 7-time elite champion, and he looks to be making decent headway against the number 8 truck, and Frank Foti could well be up into second place here, but of course the longer these two scrap, the longer it allows Gerald Campbell to get further and further out in front at little cost to his tyre longevity, as the gap now grows to nearly 7/10 of a second, as there's one car up in the wall struggling to get out of it, magnetised to the outside retaining barrier as it were there, but looks like everyone has managed to successfully scatter and avoid that particular mishap. Chris Wright has managed to hold on to P2. Frank Foti has relinquished his standing in that particular fight for the time being. He is down to 3rd as the Lake Norman 2, 3, 4, 6 scattering further back in the field. Here is a fight between Austin and Abnett and Harrison Talon. Harrison Talon and Austin and Abnett both have made up good ground, as has Patrick Hahey in the 87. He's up to 7th. Matthew Harrison Talon now for a big move, potentially for P7. Talon making some good progress, Matthew.
Oh yeah, Harry's actually been really getting better week to week, and that move right there just reminded me of what I would do here. You get clear and just send it into one and hope it sticks.
Definitely, and Patrick Hahey wants no part in that. Very quickly relinquishes that position. Here now comes the 92 of Jess Story for RK Motorsports to the inside of Austin and Abnett. And I fear Austin and Abnett will not have a lot for the J-Stow Gamer Machine as he's up into P9. Mitchell Havea knocks the wall down there back in position number 13. Here comes Story now to the inside of Hahey in the Race in America Ford F-150 as he looks to potentially gain another position. Hahey will not want to be losing too many positions on this run, doing well up in 8th, but would rather be in 8th than 9th. The Story now is on driver left here, but this looks to be the longest green run that we have had thus far in this race, lap 60, 150. And now that I see a majority of the field is single file now here, Matthew Weeks, could this potentially spell good things for a long green flag run?
Yeah, it looks like it. There's some 3-wide racing going in the middle, but yeah, it looks like it. And if I'm Gerald, I'll be worried that if it goes green, because then you know the guys that pitted are in the best shot to win the race. You want this to go at least a good 30, 40 laps. That way everybody has to come in and take tires with you.
Yeah, definitely, and I think You know, strategy will definitely play a pivotal part, but it's hard to say. You know, 90 laps on a tank of gas at Richmond, I think, from my knowledge, I'm pretty sure you can do that. Remember, this track is only 0.7 miles long, so it's pure tyre longevity, I believe, at this point, if everyone is good on fuel. And Gavin Higgins, we mentioned during the caution period, he was down to 21st during the caution period. Now look, he's up in 10th. He's passed Patrick Hickey. You see McCorkle and Hossack coming by in tow, essentially following Higgins through, making these moves. He definitely looks like he's got a fresh set of boots on that number 20 truck, and I think this long green flag run is exactly what the 20 truck needed. He potentially look to the inside of Austin and Abnett before long. Brilliant exit out of turn 2, and he's going to get to the inside of the 60 truck for turn 3, and Abnett will want no part in that. No point fighting that. That will be simply a losing battle. And Abnett does hang around the outside for just a little bit longer, just using his exit momentum, but is in no way attempting to majorly impede the 20 as he does make that move for P9. If I'm someone like Gerald Campbell or Chris Wright, Mathieu, am I beginning to sweat bullets a bit? We've had a long green flag run, and Gavin Higgins is coming with some major speed.
Once Gavin gets to about 5th, I would be starting to worry about it, because then you know it's like, all right, we're actually going to have a long run here, and Gavin he just doesn't need to overdrive his truck trying to get these spots. As long as he can take these spots and take care of his tires, he'll be sitting pretty to win this race.
Definitely looks in a good position to do so. I think a bit of contact there between the 38 Jeff Green, the 57 of Dylan Javier, the Turner Eye Clinic machine, just falling victim there. As Harrison Talent gets a little bit loose in that fight for P7, but Jeff Green manages to hold on to P5 with Caleb Puma in the Lake Norman machine, beginning to potentially smell some blood on the 38 as he got a little bit loose there, potentially looking for an opportunity to make a pass. As here comes Michael Harsack to the inside of Austin, and I think this is your fight for P11. JP Phillips as well, potentially looking to bounce on any calamity as Gavin Higgins with a big move. I think it went down to the apron there, trying to get to the inside of the 92. But no,
yeah, I think the 92 blocked him there. He went to get underneath him, and Jess said, nope, I'm not having that, and blocked him to the apron.
Oh dear, getting a bit shiesty down here at Richmond Raceway. It's a short track, tempers can flare. Boys will get mad at each other. Speaking of mad at each other, I do wonder if Michael Harsack and Austin and Abnett might have just crossed each other off their Christmas card lists as they made a bit of contact coming off of turn 2. And that's allowed JP Phillips to get by the pair of them as he's on the inside of the 34. And he looks now for P11 here in this race with just 80 laps to go. As now we move into lap number 70, almost at the halfway point, end of lap 75. There's Jeff Green and Dylan Javier again go at it for P4. Jeff Green not giving up this particular scrap here despite earlier contact, absolutely not shying away from this battle whatsoever. But everyone now beginning to single file out. Not many side-by-side battles. You do see Gavin Higgins getting into the inside of Jess Story. No blocking this time. I do wonder if potentially, if I'm Gavin Higgins and I see people like Jess Story, Harrison Talon, Caleb Pacuma begin to impede me somewhat in my charge up the field, am I going to start using the chrome horn, Matthew? Am I going to have to start bumping people out the way?
You could try that. I'm not one to be like, yeah, go do that. I think our racing is good about being able to move somebody with the air. So I think all he has to do is get really snug up to that left rear. Don't touch him and get him a little arrow loose. Let him slide up and you be good. But like I said earlier, just don't overdrive the tires right now. You want to take care of them new tires you put on.
Absolutely. Gavin Higgins, obviously a young kid, only 14 years old, I believe, and he's kicking backsides left, right and centre in this league. But of course, your younger drivers, I would know, definitely prone to overdriving when you're making a charge up the field like this, as he moves to the inside of the 51 of Harrison Talon. See JP Phillips back up into the top 10 as he moves past RK Motorsports' Jeff Story into position number 10. As here comes the Leighton Norgard and Joe Francis. They're having a scrap further back there behind the 87 of Patrick Hahey. It's Francis on the inside, Norgard on the outside there. That's your fight for P14 there. Norgard 15th, Francis in 16th there. teammate of Norgard, Brent Jones there at Abbott Motorsports, potentially looking to join the fray here, as there's Josh Osborne, Jesse Rasimas just behind them as well. Definitely taking off a long green flag run here, Matthew, and I think before long, drivers that are sort of taking care of their stuff, beginning to run consistent lap times, will begin to be rewarded, as I think Gerald Campbell has steadily gapped the field here. You see the gap, about 1.5 seconds between himself and Chris Wright, and it's a gap that steadily increased. It doesn't look to be decreasing much at all, as Wright was 1/10 of a second quicker that lap, but apart from that, it's been a steady increase for Campbell. But I think we're now at a point, Matthew, where this will begin to reward the tyre savers as opposed to the guys that will go out on hot lap.
Oh yeah, this is the point of the run at Richmond where you really notice who took care of their tires or not, and if some of these guys probably have took care of their tires enough to where they can contend with the guys that put new tires on lap 50 when that caution come out.
Definitely, I think this will be the point where it's just even out, and the tyre savers will begin to rise to the top, as it were. Chris Wright still fading back a bit from a hard charging Gerald Campbell, as that gap does extend to over 1.5 seconds as the caution does come out and is right in front of Gerald Campbell. He had to jink to the right there as there's the car stationary in the middle of turns 1 and 2. It's your 8th caution of the evening, ending that 20 lap-ish green flag run, and potentially that could shake things up somewhat on pit strategy. Drivers may elect to take tyres, as I believe this is the 86 of Ryan Campbell, just getting a little bit loose right in front of Gerald. That would have given the 00 quite a scare. Manages to save it, but that will bring out the 8th caution of the race so far, Matthew. That will definitely keep you awake, but what are you expecting now on the pit strategy front?
I expect everybody to pit, especially the guys that haven't pitted all race. They're definitely going to take tires, and this run was long enough that for the guys that pitted at lap 50, if you stay out here, I think you're going to get smoked on the track.
I would definitely agree. It's been 20-ish laps. Tyres will have been beginning to feel the punishment, as it were, and the onus now becomes on these virtual pit crews and on these drivers to ensure that they are maximising the most that they can out of their individual pit stops. You see everyone begin to peel into their stalls further up the pecking order. Of course, grid pit stall allocation decided by qualifying order. That's why you see JP Phillips at the head of the pack there, and it will be Cody McCorkle winning the race off pit road there. Gerald Campbell, Chris Wright comes out. There goes Gerald Campbell, Frank Foti, as well as Dylan Javier, and that is a big shake-up in the pecking order. But someone that has, I presume, stayed out is Justin Wadsworth in the 6th. Do you like that call, Matthew?
I don't. Just too many laps. I just don't like it.
Definitely would agree. Cody McCorkle won the race off pit road. He'll be 2nd on the restart. Gerald Campbell will be in P3, and of course, while Campbell does have the luxury of having the control car directly in front of him, you'd have to say Justin Wadsworth will be significantly slower on that older rubber. Does that then swing the advantage back to McCorkle, Mathieu, as the inside line especially will begin to get checked up behind the relatively slower moving number 6 truck?
Yeah, definitely. You right here, you want to be the guy on the not behind Wadsworth, whatever lane he picks. It could be either one right now, but I want to be on the opposite line so I can just drive into the corner and get next to him and clear him by exit.
We'll see which lane Wadsworth elects to pick, as we are on to green this time. He elects to pick the inside for this restart, as Gerald Campbell probably just punched his sim rig, as he will have, with all due respect to Wadsworth, a moving chicane in front of him in respect to that older rubber. So the 00, his efforts to win will have been curtailed somewhat, but unlucky circumstances, but the best will make the best of those circumstances. This race far from done. We will come back to green at the beginning of lap 84. Gerald Campbell, Chris Wright, row number 2, a Leighton Norgard, big mover up to P5. But you have to say, Cody McCorkle is liking his chances right now in P2. Wadsworth has control of the restart, but on very old tyres. Wadsworth had the jump. McCorkle reacting, has already begun to gain back on the number 6 as they all drive into the corner. Wadsworth a bit slower through the corner. McCorkle to the outside, and could that be the move that gets him the lead of the race? Wadsworth to the inside. Gerald Campbell there, still back in third. Wadsworth trying to hang on. Gerald Campbell tries to get to the inside of Wadsworth, almost spins out, does spin out. Through the grass goes to 00. Austin and Abbott as well at the bottom of your picture there. And Campbell into the wall in saving it. We stay green, but that has undone all his hard work as Rob Mooney's now around in turn 1 and 2. Carnage on the restart, and Gerald Campbell's hard work has all been undone as Carnage unfolds behind him for the 9th caution of the race, and that now puts Cody McCorkle in the lead. I see 4 wide going into turn 1 there.
Yep.
Dave Huckleberry involved. Other cars involved. An absolute mess in turns 1 and 2 as I think they just reversed into each other in trying to get their own individual trucks back going again.
So,
but Cody McCorkle with the 4th lead change of the race, Jesse Rasimas.
yeah, so while we have a couple minutes here to get a couple of our sponsor ads in, the cautions here go pretty quick, so we'll try to sneak it in before we have too much more action on the next green flag run. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers, and we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
And we are back on the Elite Racing Network for round 6 of the 2025 JUICYSPYDER Truck Series. It's the Richmond 150 at virtual Richmond Raceway in Richmond, Virginia. It's the 9th caution procession of the race lap, 89 of 150. We've just had an accident involving Rob Mooney and others, as well as Gerald Campbell, who's cascaded down the field as a result of that incident, as Cody McCorkle has now reassumed the lead of the race in the number 2 Shift Esports truck, looking for his first victory of the season. You'd have to say he looks in pretty good position to do so right now. Justin Wadsworth is somewhat beleaguered by old tyres on his outside. Chris Wright, you'd have to say, is the 2's nearest challenger on the track, with Mathieu as well, all in the mix here. The pace car does pull off. It'll be Cody McCorkle with control of the restart. And the outside line, you'd imagine, behind Justin Wadsworth might struggle a little bit. But it's a decent restart for the 6. He doesn't do terribly into turn number 1 here. Cody McCorkle will assume the race lead. Chris Wright swiftly trying to move past his teammate, but there's a crash further back once again. The back of the pack struggling here with the circumstances here at Richmond Raceway, and it's safety car number 10 here, and we'll have to see just where that accident happened. And we'll see on the Robilus Photography instant replay. We're focusing here on the 32 of Dustin Dewar here, and it's just slightly too quick into the corner. It's the 54, and Scotty Yancey struggling for grip there. Very easy to do at this track. You get in too hot, the tyres just, they give and they give, but they won't give you a lot. And eventually that's all she wrote for the 54 into the wall, and that will bring up the 10th caution of the evening. And as boring as it might be from a neutral perspective or from anyone who isn't Cody McCorkle, you'd have to say Cody McCorkle will definitely want these caution laps to keep winding down. It means less laps for him to absorb the pressure for the chasing back behind him, especially now that Chris Wright is up into second place on the same age tyres as Cody McCorkle. Does that give McCorkle more to think about under green flag conditions now?
Yeah, it definitely does. You know that if you put Wadsworth starting on the bottom, so if you start on the bottom, you're going to slow the bottom down behind you, so that'll help. But that gives a shot for Wright to drive it in hard underneath or on the outside of you and get you outside and pass you. So yeah, I'll be worried right here.
Definitely more for McCorkle to think about, but he isn't doing terribly in the lead. Has looked composed thus far with the limited green flag laps that he has had in the lead of this race. Lap 93 of 150, so less than 60 to go, and it looks fairly plain sailing thus far. No commentary curse, hopefully for this particular occasion, but for the front of the field at least, it has looked fairly plain sailing, save for Gerald Campbell with that small mishap just before caution number 9, which is why you see the 00 back in P25. Let's go look back and watch another replay. This is Scotty Yancey once again, and has had another mishap off of turn 4, and has just kept it out of the wall, and has towed to pit road, presumably end of the night for number 54. From bad to worse for Scotty Yancey. But we are now 1 to go, Matthew Weeks, and you'd have to imagine 55-ish to go at Richmond. Is it now go time?
Oh yeah, it's go time. It's all about keeping that track position now and trying to stay up front.
Definitely, track position is king at this point at a track that is so hard to pass at, where laps are gone in a space of 20 odd seconds. We get a green flag run, 57 laps. We could be done in 20 minutes. So definitely go time for these drivers as we ride on board with Cody McCorkle into the restart zone. He steps on the loud pedal now, and he's got a fairly good restart behind Chris Wright. You see in the mirror on the top right screen, Chris Wright in that blue egg Chevrolet just behind him. He's managed to get single file. We ride on board now with Chris Wright. You see the camera focused on him. It's his teammate Justin Wadsworth on those old tyres, fighting back in P2, and that is going to be just what Cody McCorkle wants to see. Wadsworth still to the inside of Chris Wright, giving him absolute hell here. Chris Wright is on the outside, should have the better exit speed, but Wadsworth hanging on here. How has he got this much grip in his tyres? I reckon he must have pitted earlier and still has a fairly acceptable standard of tyre grip. Otherwise, I think on sort of 40 odd lap old tyres as they would be at this point, he'd be cascading down the field. And speaking of cascading down the field into the barrier, throws Joshua Osborne on the back straight, but we stay under green flag conditions. We'll have a look at that incident fairly quickly on the instant replay. Brent Jones on the outside of this particular 3-wide scenario. Josh Osborne just gets into it a little bit too high there, and he's been punished for it. Well, I'd say that this amount of damage to his truck is worth more than his Harley could ever do in the 07. Very much out of contention in this race, unless of course we do get another safety car at 98 of 150. Still fighting hard around the top 10 here. You see they're all bunched up, packed up around Justin Wadsworth as he is beginning to fall down here. Leighton Norgard just scrapes the wall on the outside there. Jeff Green on his inside. The 12 boxed in somewhat as the top 5 begin to break free as they have managed to get past Justin Wadsworth. Jeff Green should be next on that list, and the caution now is out on lap number 99. The 11th time this evening. We are struggling to get long green runs here at Richmond as we potentially see, is this another 3-wide gone wrong? We're focused on Carl Hanshaw. Tom Bourne just gets into left rear of Hanshaw, spins him right around, and that's a heavy impact. Yep. Into the outside wall. Rob Mooney unsighted head on into the 46, and that will do significant damage to both of those trucks. And again, it's drivers taking gaps that potentially aren't quite there. Mathieu, we're going to ride on board with the 84 of Rob Mooney, sees the crash up ahead, ducks to the inside, hits the brake.
Oh,
The fronts just slide, don't they, Mathieu, as he tries to slam the anchors on. He's turning left, and the amount of brake he's giving it with the amount of steering he's giving that truck, the tyres just don't like it. They bite, they lock, and he goes straight to the scene of the accident, as it were. But we've now crossed off a century of laps, Mathieu, and now the field has somewhat been unleashed, as Justin Wadsworth, as you see on the left-hand side of your screen, has taken to pit row. So everyone up at the front now on equal terms, including Gavin Higgins, who has surged back up to P4. This race far from over, wouldn't you agree, Mathieu?
yeah, this race is far from over. Now it's time. Everyone's really gonna go for everything now. You know, within 50 to go, everyone wants to win the race, especially the guys that are not locked into the playoffs. So it's about to get crazy.
It definitely will, with only a third of the race to tick off. You see on the scoring pylon that 101 of 150. 50 laps remain here at Richmond Raceway. We are under caution for the 11th time tonight, but soon enough we will have some green flag running to bring you within the next couple of laps. Cody McCorkle for Shift Esports is your leader. Chris Wright for Lake Norman Motorsports is in second. Lake Norman's 57 truck, that's Dylan Havir, he's in third. KOR's Gavin Higgins is in fourth. Unacceptable Racing, JP Phillips, he's in fifth. Do Good Motorsports, Jeff Green is in sixth. Norgard for Abbott Motorsports is in seventh. Frank Floty for Lake Norman Motorsports is in eighth. In ninth is the independent Harrison Talon, and in the number 10 position, the number 92, Jess Story for RK Motorsports. That's your top 10 rundown so far. We are now 1 to green. Cody McCorkle elects to pick the inside for this next restart. Chris Wright will have the duty, as it were, to try and react as quickly as he can to whenever the two might choose to step on the accelerator. Dylan Havir will be right behind the two. Gavin Higgins will be looking to capitalise on any mistakes from either of the three in front of him to retake the lead that he did once have, having taken it from Gerald Campbell earlier in the race. Did win stage number 1, did the 20. All these drivers hungry. That can bring drama, that can bring carnage, that can unfortunately bring cautions, but that's not what we want to see. We want to see hard racing till the very end here. No more yellows. 11 is more than enough. We enter the Geico restart zone now, on board with Cody McCorkle. He steps on it. Chris Wright fairly equal to it, but McCorkle does get clear. Higgins with a brilliant restart. He's already up to third. Does he dive to the inside? Yes, he does. Looking for P2 already is Gavin Higgins to the inside of Chris Wright. Chris Wright on the outside should get the better exit, should clear the 20, but the 3 wide behind him, as that's JP Phillips. Josh Osborne around in the back of the pack, and there is again another yellow from a driver further back in the field. A self-spin from the 07, and not for the first time tonight. The 07 finds itself turned around the wrong way on its own volition here, and the 3 wide fight for fourth has been very much put to a stop here as Joshua Osborne turns around 180 degrees on the back straight. Mathieu.
Yeah, it seems he's been struggling there. It looks like other people have been struggling out of two too. It seems to be really loose, especially when you're in traffic.
Definitely struggles on the restart. Restart? I don't know what a restart is. I know what a restart is, and we've had plenty of those this race. Definitely the restarts are fun. The yellows, not so much. I begin to run out of things to commentate on when we are just trundling behind the pace car at 50 miles per hour. But Cody McCorkle does still lead. He's done brilliantly well on the restarts to clear Chris Wright every single time. Gavin Higgins with what would have been an amazing move into turn 1, an incisive inside pass. We've seen it 1,000,001 times already this evening. He's up to P3. Will now have the luxury of being on the inside, and we know what happened last time Higgins started P3. He got right up to the back of the leader, sent it down the inside, and was looking for the lead. Cody McCorkle is probably going to have the most stressful time yet on this restart, as he's got a very, very hungry young man going to be right up his bumper going on this restart. But it's lap 106. Still the same top 10 as before, with some slight shifts in who exactly is where, but it's the same 10 people in those top 10 positions. Fred, the pace car driver, probably has led the most laps tonight with just how many accidents we have had. I would say Cody McCorkle, Gerald Campbell and Gavin Higgins would have both ticked off a good amount of laps led, but I think Fred, the pace car driver, has had the clearest windshield of everyone so far in this particular event. He's done brilliantly well, has had good pace all weekend. Very consistent lap times from Fred the pace car driver as well, so definitely deserves to be up at the front and get the spotlight that he deserves. But I presume we'll be coming back to the 1 degree signal very, very shortly. And there you go, you see at the top of your screen, 1-2 green, as the design pink Toyota Tundra does again elect for the bottom lane here. Fred the pace car driver will pull into the pits at the end of this lap. Cody McCorkle will have control of the restart once we get back into the Geico restart zone. It'll be Chris Wright and Gavin Higgins tasked with trying to react to him as quick as they can, as well as the entire chasing pack behind them. Still 27 cars in this race, all the way back to Justin Wadsworth there. So anyone can still win this race and anything can happen. You watched the Formula 1 race last night? It was 4 a.m. over here, but I was watching it. Anything can happen in motorsport, as it so often does. Cody McCorkle steps on the now pedal. Well, that is the best restart that Chris Wright has had just yet. Only a 10.5 behind Cody McCorkle. He'll look to send it in deep in turn number 1. Can he get to the right rear of Cody McCorkle? Not quite. He's got Gavin Higgins for company to driver's left as they begin to jockey for position for second and third, as there are fights all up and down the pack. But Cody McCorkle is clear of the 20 and the 8 and begin to set sail here. He just needs to maintain a smooth trajectory around the track, not overdrive it as much as he needs to. Gavin Higgins drives it in deep, trying to get clear. That will give Chris Wright the best exit, and he'll be half a truck length clear going into turn number 3. Here comes Gavin Higgins trying to claw it all back, but you'd have to say it's advantage Chris Wright on the high side right now. A good 3 and 4 from Gavin Higgins, as these two absolutely unrelenting in their pursuit of every single position that they can possibly get. And Gavin Higgins will try and clear the 8 this time, a bit loose off of 2, but cannot quite get clear. They try again into turn number 3 as Javier and Phillips still going at it for P4 and P5. Frank Vogt with the best seat in the house for all the action, you would have to argue. Green, Norgard as well behind them, licking their lips, potentially looking to capitalise on any errors that any of these 4 drivers in front of them may make. But Cody McCorkle is seeing exactly what he needs to see in his rear view mirror. Higgins, Wright, tearing up each other's tyres. Phillips, Severe tearing up each other's tyres. Cody McCorkle just needs to remain smooth, and he's 37 laps away from a first win of the season, Matthew Weeks.
Yeah, just you want those guys to stay side by side as long as possible. Try to take care of your stuff while they're like that. And he's doing a good job, and Chris, man, he's fighting hard. I'll be worried about those tires in about 10 laps. But it's a good battle right here for second and third going on, and I see Frank Vogt just sitting there, just biding his time, waiting for these guys for a little mistake like he brought up, hoping one of these guys mess up.
Absolutely no quarter arse, no quarter given between any of these drivers. Gavin Higgins and Chris Wright have been on each other's doors for about 7 laps now. Higgins, is he just about clear? Not quite. He might send it in deep into turn 1, trying to get clear of the 8. And he does get clear just as the caution comes out. Gavin Higgins will be pumping his fist with that one to just get the move done just in time. But again, it looks like it's drivers near the back of the pack, as I don't see any particular mishaps of anyone in our immediate picture. Gerald Campbell, the focal point of this particular yellow, and Austin and Abnett just swipes down, and oh, a big impact for Gerald Campbell, as a tumultuous night goes from bad to worst for the Cup Series champion, and Gerald Campbell looks to be very much out of the running. We'll see the aggressive eagle for Austin and Abnett just swipes down, potentially some netco contact I saw in that first angle there before we went to the onboard. But that will be heartache and frustration there for Gerald Campbell, as his chances of a win, if they were minimal already, are now a big fat 0. You see again the overhead camera. Netco potentially, I would hazard a guess and say that it definitely played a part. We see the onboard here. Definitely a bit, but it's hard to see just exactly how much of a part Netco played in that particular incident as to whether the contact would have happened anyway. But you see Gavin Higgins is in the pits. Everyone else has stayed out, Matthew. Gavin Higgins' face must have dropped when you saw everyone still staying out. That is going to be very frustrating for the 20, as he is going to be around about position number 20, 21 here on the restart. That might have been the wrong call for Gavin Higgins. What do you think?
Yeah, from second to all the way back there, yeah, I wouldn't have pitted. It's too much. Now, if the leader was showing he was going to pit, I would have followed the leader probably. But look in your mirror and you see all of them trucks stay out, and you're just like, dang, wrong decision.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I wouldn't be surprised if Gavin Higgins was just trying to do opposite leader, get himself off cycle, but with 30 to go at Richmond, that's not, I don't think going off cycle's the way, not this early. That's something you do in sort of the opening quarter of an oval race. You go off cycle, see if you can do something different to the leader, not something that you do with 30 to go. And I think Gavin Higgins is going to be really, really frustrated. He will have a tyre advantage, but I mean, the tyre advantage I would say is negligible as is, as we've not had a lot of green flag running since these guys all last pit. Not to mention that by the time Gavin Higgins claws all these positions back, if he is able to, I would say he would have driven that tyre advantage away, Mathieu, as he would have had to use more pace, more speed to get back up to the front of the pack.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're going to burn your tires more passing trucks instead of being up there in second and just biding your time to race for the lead. And look at Wadsworth. I mean, he pitted what 10 laps ago, and he's only made it to 16th.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what Gavin Higgins can do, but I don't think either of us in the commentary box particularly like the call to pit, but he's got 32 laps to prove us wrong and make us look like mugs on live telly. So such is the beauty of live sport. Anything can happen. Cody McCorkle, though, will have the luxury of deciding when we go green flag racing, and there we go. He jumps on the loud pedal with a brilliant restart. Phillips there will be right there with him. As here comes Phillips and Norgard as well in tow. Frank Foti in the mix as well on the inside there of the number 12 here. Cody McCorkle is out and into the lead here at Richmond with just 31 laps to go when they get to the stripe. Chris White in hot pursuit of the number 2 Shift Esports machine. Dylan Havir looking to get past JP Phillips for P3 on the racetrack. Phillips did start this race in position at number 1, of course. Carl Hanshaw tugging the insides, getting out the way, in a particular damaged number 46 truck. Good on him for evading his competitors there, staying well out of the picture. Courteous from Hanshaw was Norgard and Foti. Foti really driving Norgard high up the track there. Norgard trying not to give him too much room there. As we run here with 30 laps to go, Norgard trying to break into the top 5 for the first time tonight. Gets a good exit out of turn 2. Will he be able to crack past the number 41? It will certainly be no easy task, as we're 3 wide, as Caleb Pacuma, I think, does get contact there from the number 11 truck. Justin Wadsworth will slip behind the pair of them, as will Gavin Higgins there. Neil Rutt just gets into Pacuma just a tiny, tiny bit there, and that spells disaster for the number 56 there. But that now opens the door there for Gavin Higgins to get past the 11, as Pacuma just tanks the wall ever so slightly. 2 by 2 though, as we see Green and Foti, Marsack and Talon, Rasimas and Bourne all side by side, each in their own respective battles. Does that just make Gavin Higgins' life that much harder, Mathieu?
Oh yeah, especially when there's 3 wide right here, and the closer you get to the front, the harder it is to pass these guys. The closer you get to the front too.
You saw a big change of direction there from Gavin Higgins. He went all the way down to the yellow line now. He's like potentially looking for a 3 wide move. Does he look for another one? Not this time. Gavin Higgins making steady progress up the field, but as he begins to get boxed in by the likes of Justin Wadsworth, Jaden Rasimas, time will begin to run out. Will he look to the inside of Justin Wadsworth? This time he will not. Not looking to force an asinine 3 wide this time here, as he works to the inside of Jaden Rasimas, but 25 laps to go. Chris White only a quarter of a second behind Cody McCorkle, but fights all around the field, Matthew Weeks. Would you reckon we'll see another yellow before the end of this race?
With how hard they're racing in the midfield right here, yeah. Whew, what a block right there. Wadsworth trying to cut off Higgins from that run right there, trying to stop him from diving him.
Definitely Wadsworth wary of Higgins here. I don't think he can block this one. Here comes Gavin Higgins, bottom of 3 wide. Here comes Justin Wadsworth and Harrison Talon to the outside of the 20. Higgins hard charging. Wadsworth manages to squeeze out the 51 of Harrison Talon, who now has Michael Harzak for company. You saw Talon dart half a truck width to the inside there to block off that particular run for the 24, who now has to take to the outside in turns 3 and 4. Talon successfully defends for now, but Harzak back to the inside of the number 51. Still, they fight hard. Matthew Weeks does predict we'll have another yellow. It's hard to argue against it, but Gavin Higgins making some steady progress up the field. He's back up to 9th, Matt.
Yeah, he's doing a way better job than I thought. He's really had these tires rolling, but Wadsworth's putting up a fight on the outside.
See Wadsworth still trying to hang onto the passenger side door there of that number 20 truck is still there. Higgins cannot get the run that he needs. Tom Bomb, big block. Tries to go to the middle, does Higgins. Definitely that's an ill-advised move, and that will really frustrate the 20 as Justin Wadsworth will take back P9 and he'll clear the 20 coming out of turn 4. Higgins must be seething behind the wheel at number 20 as a big block from Bourne has lost him a position in his hard charge up the field. Will Bourne block again? Bourne does block again. If I'm Higgins, I'm absolutely fuming at what's happening in front of me. How long before he begins to use the bumper? Again, to the inside of the 61. Again, the 61 might try to block, but this will be a big dive from the 20. We're 3 wide once again. And I think this might be all she wrote for Tom Bourne. He's middle 3 wide, potentially contact with Wadsworth. He does get cleared. Jeff Ryan and Jesse Rasimas in a bit of a tangle behind them. But Higgins is clear now of Tom Bourne and will look to repass Justin Wadsworth here for what will be P8 on the racetrack. But I think Gavin Higgins might just be out of time as Cody McCorkle begins to establish an authoritative lead out front, Matthew.
Yeah, just out of time. Too many trucks stayed out right there, and racing Tom Bourne and being blocked like that really slowed him down. And I was about to say, wait to make your dive into turn 1. It's harder to do the 3 wide dive into 3 with how flat it is. And luckily he waited and he got that spot. Now he's going to get team raced a little bit with Wadsworth and Fody right here.
I would say Fody might be blocking the 20 somewhat. Higgins is there though to the inside of the 41. Justin Wadsworth does get clear of the 20. Justin Wadsworth has managed to stay in front of Gavin Higgins. The 6 has been somewhat of a thorn in the side of the 20. All race long, certainly in this particular run.
Oh, Wadsworth got the wall on entry.
The 20. Wadsworth did get the wall on entry. Good spot, Matthew. And it's a big send from Gavin Higgins. There was a moment there, just a split second. I thought that was about to end in tears. And it's another big send. Wadsworth is clear, though, into P7. But just as I mentioned, an authoritative lead for Cody McCorkle. That lead has come down majorly. It was 7/10 of a second at one point. That's now halved to just about 3/10. And here comes JP Phillips entering the fray. He started on pole. He's not spent a lot of laps up at the front, but he might end it just on the top step of the podium. He's 3rd now, but he's definitely showing good pace at this point in the run. Is Cody McCorkle beginning to struggle here as Chris Wright has honed in that gap somewhat, Matthew?
Yeah, a little worried he burned his tires up early in the run, driving really hard. And Chris Wright, knowing how good he is, you know, he's a good racer. He hates his tire model, but he knows that you got to take care of the tires, and probably just sat back there, didn't overheat his stuff. And now he's getting pressure by Phillips right now, who I think is probably the best truck.
I would say so. Phillips definitely showing some good pace. We saw one little blip out of Cody McCorkle where he lost 3/10 of a second, but he's now begun to eke out that advantage. Once again, they approach the back marker. Gerald Campbell back marker. Definitely not an nod to his pace, but his circumstances, he does find himself 1 lap down now as Cody McCorkle does make his way by the 00. The 8 and the 34 will come by momentarily, but back out to half a second lead for Cody McCorkle. His first win of the season becomes ever closer as they will come to 13 to go out the stripe, and as you see just at the back of your picture there, they're all single file now for their respective positions. Sure, Wadsworth and Higgins have been racing hard, but it's hard to hit each other when you are single file. Wadsworth does go for the dive on Jeff Green there for P5, but I think the likelihood for a yellow before the end of this race potentially has gone down somewhat, Matthew.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like these guys have really singled out here, and there's only a couple battles going on in the field right now.
And we're focused on one of them. This is your fight for P5. Jeff Green on the outside, Justin Wadsworth for Lake Norman Motorsports on the inside. KOR's Gavin Higgins looking to salvage a good finish after potentially not the best pit call. Wadsworth loose on the exit of turn 2. Higgins looks to the inside of the 6. The 6 immediately cuts off that particular advance from the 20, but will he now look for the 3 wide dive into turn number 1? Wadsworth is clear of Jeff Green. Gavin Higgins now next on Jeff Green's list here of cars he is trying to defend from. Unsuccessful in that particular venture. He's down to P7. Joe Francis now applies pressure to the 38. Norgard and Dua fighting for position behind them. Justin Wadsworth now is up to P5 and potentially looking at his teammate Dylan Havere up in P4, but Cody McCorkle now 8/10 of a second in the lead. 10 laps to go here at Richmond, Matthew.
Yeah, McCorkle just needs to manage this gap. He seems to pulling away now, and this battle right here with Higgins and Wadsworth has really slowed them down a lot. So where I don't even think they got a shot to catch him.
I don't think so either, and I think they would have burnt their tyres up doing so as well. They certainly wouldn't have the pace in their rubber to get up to Cody McCorkle should they clear everyone else in front of them, as the 2 truck now a second in front nearly of Chris right here. Justin Wadsworth does manage to make his way past Dylan Havere, his teammate. Gavin Higgins will do the same here. Those two now back up into the top 5. 8 laps to go. At what point do the dives become a bit more desperate from some of these drivers? Joe Francis looks to the inside of Gavin Higgins there in the 55. He's been making steady progress up the field into P6 now for numbers by Joe Machine. Dua, big dive on his teammate Jeff Green there in that particular fight for P8. As Tom Bourne now pressuring a Leighton Norgard there for the last top 10 position there. Chris Wright and JP Phillips beginning to go at it for P2. And all this is happening while Cody McCorkle begins to run quite comfortably away in the lead. 6 laps to go at the stripe.
Ooh, those two have a good shot to get podium finishes, I think.
There's Wadsworth and Higgins beginning to show their cards in this last run here. They definitely do have the pace, but hard to say whether they can catch Wright and Phillips. Just as I say that, Wadsworth is looking to the inside of the 34 here, and he does get to the left rear of JP Phillips. I think this is now your fight for P2. I think unless an absolute catastrophe happens, the fight for the lead is all but done. Wadsworth cuts off Higgins once again as he tries to make that dive into turn number 1. Wadsworth trying to make his way past JP Phillips. Higgins will look to follow the 6 through for this particular pass to get Wadsworth up to 3rd and Higgins up to 4th, 3 wide behind them. Jeff Green to the outside of Tom Bourne, Leighton Norgard, splitting Jeff Ryan and Dylan Havere through the middle. Incisive move from a Leighton Norgard there. There's Justin Wadsworth now almost into the back of Chris Wright, and Higgins into the back of Justin Wadsworth. Contact there as they fight for the positions at the sharp end of the field, and that has gifted JP Phillips P3 back. Joe Francis now enters the fray, and that has undone a lot of hard work for both those drivers. 3 laps to go now, Matthew.
Yeah, just unlucky. It looked like Wadsworth a little slow on the exit, and Higgins was trying to cut down and get underneath him and go 3 wide, and just got in his left rear. Good save right there. Way to keep going. I just think that just lost him even more time. Now it's just a battle of who's going to get P3.
I would say so as well, as Chris Wright has established a 3/10 of a second lead over JP Phillips, who has a second gap in front of him.
Oh!
McCorkle, but they're wrecking just before the line! And JP Phillips and Justin Wadsworth have come to blows, and it was happened GWC, and Cody McCorkle's heart sinks as the advantage that he has worked so hard to establish has now gone in a big plume of smoke here as it all came to blows going into turn 1. We said the dives would get more desperate. We ride on board here with the 6 of Justin Wadsworth. JP Phillips just in front of him as he just gone from too far back into the 34. You'd have to say an ill-advised move there. It's collected Joe Francis and both those drivers. Their race is very much derailed from that accident. Matthew, your analysis of the incident.
Yeah, it just looked like Wadsworth just drove it into one a little too hard and got in the left rear there of JP and hooked him there.
Definitely looks that way, and Cody McCorkle's heart will have sunk seeing the yellow flag appear on his screen. This is JP Phillips. Wadsworth does look, but isn't close enough to really warrant making that sort of dive. Joe Francis has collected big damage to the number 6 truck. The 34 looks, in fairness, clean, apart from the damage of, well, pride and a couple lost positions on the scoring pylon. We'll see where he shakes out when we come back to live picture. He is currently 6th but the mind games now become, do you pit for fresh tyres? I don't think they will, unless they have the opportunity to do so now. Conor McCorkle does lead, and he has the worst position. He has to decide with no reference in front of him. You do not want to be the leader in this situation. It is torture. McCorkle stays out, Wright stays out, Francis stays out, Higgins stays out, Dewar stays out. The field elects to stay out. Track position over tyres up at the sharp end of the field. You can't really argue with that. But now, your top 10 with that latest incident looks a lot different. This is your top 10 rundown ahead of our first of 3 green, white checkered attempts. Conor McCorkle leads this race for Shift Esports in the number 2 truck. Chris Wright in the 8 for Lake Norman Motorsports is second. Number 55, Joe Francis is in third. KOR's Gavin Higgins is fourth in the 20. Do Good Motorsports' Dustin Dewar already won one race this year, looking to become first repeat winner of the year. He's back in P5. JP Phillips, pole sitter from this evening, is 6th. Championship leader, the 61, Tom Bourne, is in 7th. And the 2000 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion, Jeff Green, is in 8th. Albert Motorsports, the Leighton Norgard, is in P9 in the 12. And Unacceptable Racing's Jeff Ryan is in P10 in the number 3 truck. Just a reminder of how the green-white checkered works here in the Elite Racing League. We have 2 laps to decide the race. If the caution comes back out on the first of those 2 laps, we will re-rack and do it all again with another 2-lap dash to the flag. The caution cannot come out once the leader takes the white flag. The race is official no matter what, no matter who crashes, no matter how many of them crash, no matter if a fighter jet lands on the back straight. We are not having a caution flag. Conor McCorkle just needs to make another 7/10 of a mile before he has no more yellows to worry about. He just needs to stay cool, calm, collected, and he'll have his first win of the season. But there's a pack of hungry drivers behind him. 2 laps to decide it all at Richmond. Conor McCorkle off to a good restart. Joe Francis looking to pressure Chris Wright for second place here as they dive now into turn 1. What will Gavin Higgins do now that he might potentially have enough time to make those fresher tyres work here? Joe Francis still trying to get to the inside of Chris Wright, potentially trying to get clear. Gavin Higgins running out of time here. Conor McCorkle half a second in front, just needs to get to the stripe without any mishaps, and he does so. Whiplash Simcam's white flag here as Chris Wright up on the top side. Joe Francis down low here. That's your fight for P2. Down the back straight though, as Dewar and Higgins leaning on each other for 4th place. Both get loose. Conor McCorkle into turn 3. Blocks all around. Contact all around. Conor McCorkle will come down 3 and 4 for the final time for his first win of the season. Conor McCorkle's going to win at Richmond. And it'll be Chris Wright that beats Gavin Higgins to 3rd place. Joe Francis drops down to 4th, right at the death. Dustin Dewar P5. Tom Bourne P6. JP Phillips will finish 7th. Jeff Green 8th. Jeff Ryan 9th. And a Leighton Norgard will finish in P10. An action-packed race that ended in a GWC, definitely not unpredictable for Richmond standards, but Conor McCorkle gets his first win of the season in a cool, calm, collected display despite immense pressure and the tumultuous affairs that sometimes come with green-white checkered scenarios. And Matthew Weeks, I would say Conor McCorkle definitely a deserving winner tonight.
Yeah, that was way to hold on for old tires, and Chris Wright put up a fight on them old tires to keep Gavin and Joe Francis behind them. That was good stuff, and what a way to end the race. Al was looking to start the race, but good way to end it.
Definitely Chris Wright as well, especially holding on to P2 on those older tyres, showing his experience there, holding off Gavin Higgins and Joe Francis as Conor McCorkle does his victory donuts for the first time this season. This is your official race results in the Juicy Spider Truck Series. Round 6, the Richmond 150. Conor McCorkle wins by 0.531 seconds over Lake Norman Motorsports' Chris Wright. Gavin Higgins for KOL rounds out the podium. Joe Francis and Dusty Dewar are 4th and 5th. 6th goes to Tom Bourne. JB Phillips will finish 7th. Jeff Green and Jeff Ryan finish 8th and 9th for Leighton Norgard. For Albert Motorsports rounds out the top 10. Dylan Havir for Lake Norman Motorsports is 11th. Michael Hossack is 12th. Frank Foti is 13th, with Harrison Talon and Brent Jones for Albert Motorsports rounding out the top 15. Connor Thompson for Shift Esports is 16th. Jesse Rasimas 17th, and Neil Rutt for South Shore Racing is in position number 18. Justin Wadsworth and Mitchell Havir round out the top 20 for Lake Norman Motorsports. Shea Mitchell for BOR finishes 21st. South Shore Racing's Sam Boutwell finishes 22nd. Lake Norman's Caleb Bakuma comes home 23rd. Gerald Campbell and Patrick Hakey round out the 25 drivers that finished on the lead lap. Josh Adams finishes 3 laps down. David Huckleberry finishes 5 laps down. Rob Mooney also 5 laps down. Carl Hanshaw 6 laps down. And everyone behind failed to finish the race. Jess Story, Austin and Abnett, Joshua Osborne, Ryan Campbell, Scotty Yancey, Richard Hearn, Aaron Yancey, Seth Rawls and Jay Connor all failed to see the checkered flag tonight. But that is a first win of the season and a well-executed one for Cody McCorkle. We're going to have a short break up here in the commentary box and on the Elite Racing Network. When we come back, we'll hopefully be having a word with your top 3 finishers. Don't go anywhere.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
3 years of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge-of-your-seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs are coming. Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the...
We're back.
And welcome back everyone on the Elite Racing Network to post-race coverage of round 6 of the 2025 Juicy Spider Truck Series. The Richmond 150 at Richmond Raceway has just concluded with Cody McCorkle, Chris Wright and Gavin Higgins as your podium sitters. Now, joining us for our first segment of post-race coverage, Chris Wright finishing P2 for Lake Norman Motorsports. Let's have a quick synopsis of your night as a whole, Chris. Definitely an eventful one up there at Richmond. What was your take on it?
It was pretty cut and dry for us. No incidents. Man, I did not expect this after practice. I did not expect to run very well tonight. I thought tonight we were just going to be another one of those trucks out there, but we were moving forward there on that first run. Stage caution came out. We were up to, I believe, 5th or 6th? I think maybe 6th. I think we got 6th place on the stage, and then the strategy split, and it just was too early to pit, I thought, and we stayed out, and it was the right call. Gerald at that point was the truck to beat, it looked like, and we ran a really long time after that, and everybody came back down with tires. And I know the 2 beat us on 2 tires, but I think he was pretty free there on the takeoff, and I thought we were going to get him. But once the truck kind of snugged up a little bit there after 10 or 15 laps, it was like his truck stayed just free enough to cut the center a little better than what I was able to do. And of course, we had that caution with about 25 to go, and it kind of split the strategy again. And I just was hoping it would run green, take my second. We got the green-white checkered. I was real nervous having tires behind me, and it worked out. I think the 55 had some nose damage, and so he was hurting down the straightaway, and it kept the 20 trapped, so they both were kind of stuck behind me, and I kind of played blocker there for Cody.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like there were incidents for everyone except you and I suppose maybe Cody as well. But you'll come home with a solid P2. It seemed definitely like challenging conditions out there. We had 14 14 cautions after all. What were your general thoughts on the conditions out there? How was the truck driving out there?
Well, it was really easy to hurt the truck tires, to hurt the right rear especially for the first 10 or 15 laps. Like you could really hurt it if you didn't stay easy on the throttle. I kind of like that too. I like the driving off the right rear of the truck, not the right front so much. So kind of played into my wheelhouse just a little bit with how free it was center off. But after about 20 laps, it tightened up. It was still, I mean, you could still buzz the tires, which is fantastic to be able to buzz the tires in this thing. I wish the next gen car gave you that opportunity as well, but it doesn't. So tonight was just about kind of managing your right rear, and then you could go pretty hard after 10 or 15. You didn't really have to take care of it anymore. A lot of fun, a lot cleaner from, I know the race ended up with 14 cautions, like you said there, William, but for us, it was pretty clean night. The truck don't have a scratch on it. I don't think we got into anybody all night long. It was way better than I expected. Like I said, I expected to run about 20th, and I was just thinking right there before qualifying, I'm glad we got that win in Daytona, because I just don't think tonight's going to be the night. I didn't think we were going to be very good, and qualified better than I thought. And then I don't know if everybody just practiced hot laps or what, and nobody ran long, or what the deal was, but I felt like over the long run we were really solid, top 3 or 4 truck all night long. So great night. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would have. I had a lot of fun out here. I know Weeks was watching, and he was probably wishing he was out here after that win last week, but it was a fun night, fun race. I'm really looking forward to, I'm sure we get to Martinsville later in this year. Can't wait to do that after this tonight.
It definitely looked fun, and like I said, obviously running a lot better than you thought you were coming home second. You had that win at Daytona. It's been 6 races now in the season, about halfway through the reg season, and you find yourself 5th in the point standings. How do you envision your championship hopes? Obviously, you've been in the Final Four here before, 23B. But are you looking to maybe appear in the Final Four and potentially go one better than you did in that season?
Well, we were in the Final Four last season as well. This is our second season back in trucks, and we were in the Final Four last season. So, yeah, that's the goal. The goal is to get to that Final Four. We checked off the getting the win, and we're kind of rolling into that consistency. It started a little bit hit or miss there to start the season, but last week, this week, and start running up here where we need to run to show these guys that we're going to have to be somebody we're going to have to beat here and come to the playoffs. But yeah, just now it's about getting consistent, running well, giving ourselves a shot to win, trying to stack some bonus points. Can't wait for all this to start in the playoffs and get to racing. Cody's was a teammate of mine last season, or maybe the season before. Either last season or season before, Cody's been a teammate of mine, and so it was cool to see him get that win out there tonight. And he's been around a long time, and he's pretty clean out here, so it was nice to see him get that mission accomplished tonight and maybe roll that into some more. But Gavin's going to be a guy you're going to have to beat in the playoffs. I know Josh is on a bit of a struggle bus right now, but Josh will probably get hot at the playoff time. Joe Francis is a guy that you got to beat. Dustin Dewar. And I guess I can go on and on and on about guys who can get hot in the playoffs. Jeff Green's out here, and he had a really strong playoff last year, so got to stay consistent, got to keep running up front, putting yourself up here with the shot to win, and getting in front of the mess. That seemed to be the most important thing tonight, is staying in front of the mess that seemed to be just behind us at the start, and then we got further and further away from it. So we'll see. Another guy, Gerald Campbell. He was super quick tonight, and I know he had that issue leading the race there, but Gerald's a guy that seems to have found his short track capability again, going to be right there threatening to win. So can't wait to get there.
Absolutely, a lot of big names around you, but it's been a well-executed night for the number 8 team. Any sponsors or partners you want to thank for getting yourself a nice silver medal?
Yeah, first of all, shout out to all you guys here at the Elite Racing Network. Jesse for doing the big work tonight. Weeks for off track and helping you out a little bit, and thanks for you, William, giving us your time. Congrats on that ARCA title, by the way. I haven't had a chance to really talk to you since you won it, but I heard you won it going away. Pretty well spanked them, so you have to be up here next season trying to win this truck title, coming up here and getting it from whoever gets it this year. And then, of course, everybody back at Lake Norman, Blue Egg Marketing, all the guys back at the shop there, Jeff Green, all the teammates. I could list them all, but it would take forever. But I know we ran really strong tonight. Frank had a strong run. Of course, driver coach Tyler Fody up there. I think Dylan fell off a little bit there at the end. But, of course, everybody at Elite, Chad, and everything he does and whatnot for this league. I didn't see him out here tonight. I'm sure he missed racing with us tonight. And hopefully everybody out there at home watching enjoyed the show as well. I know I got some family watching, so shout out to them for watching all these cautions tonight. But can't wait to see what the future holds here. See what we got going on next week. I don't even know where we're going next week, but I'm sure it's going to be a great show. Hopefully, a little bit less cautions than we had tonight.
Definitely. Well, of course. Thank you for the kind words and congratulations. So I'll see about stealing a truck to hell off someone potentially next season. But a well executed night from you, Chris. Congratulations on that, Peter. Hopefully we'll see more of you in Truck Series Victory Lane before long.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night, fellas.
So that was your silver medalist, as it were, Chris Wright, but he's now the man of the hour. First Truck Series victory of the season for both Shift Esports and for Cody McCorkle. It's the number 2 in Victory Lane for the first time this season. Cody McCorkle, congratulations on the win. How was your night tonight?
Oh, I can't believe it, man. What a, almost a little bit emotional there after that restart. Just, you see those guys with fresher tires behind you. You're like, oh man, you just got to get everything you can. Uh, I thought that Gavin was gonna be able to get there, but I think Chris was able to hold him off a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, sort of those last 20 odd laps or so, you're in a good groove. You're a second and a bit in front of Chris and the gang behind you. You come to the popsicle sticks, 2 to go, and you hear your Australian spotter in your ear, yellow flag, caution's out. And I can imagine, because I've been in that situation, your heart just sinking from what was going to be a fairly smooth sailing victory. It seemed towards the end had essentially a nightmare scenario played out. But when you're in that situation where your advantage is completely wiped and you've got a green white checker now to deal with, how do you prepare and try your best to just execute as best you can in that situation under what would have been momentous pressure?
I think you just gotta make sure you get the best restart you can first off, and then you just gotta dig for everything you got. You can't let them get to you. You don't know what they're gonna do if they can get to you, but I think we got such a good restart. We kind of got out ahead. It was stressful though. I'll tell you what. Uh, I almost just try not to make any mistakes there. Really, I think we were able to keep it pretty clean.
Definitely looked like a well executed night for the number 2 team. Of course, now that does put you second in the championship standings, just 8 points off of leader Tom Bourne. Are we looking potentially for a big playoff push, a big Final Four push, potentially a title push for the number 2 team here this year now with a win under your belt?
That's always the goal. Get everything you can in the points. I was kind of worried about taking the stage points early on, that maybe it would hurt us in the long run, but we got lucky with the way some of the cautions fell. Hopefully, we've been on a good run here. Hopefully, we can just keep it going throughout the rest of the regular season and into the playoffs.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on that victory. Any sponsors you want to thank or partners you want to thank for getting that number 2 into victory lane for the first time this season?
Absolutely. Huge shout out to Design Ping for being on the truck. Everybody at Shift Esports. Numbers by Joe, SR Design, and everybody at Shift Esports, obviously. Man, they had my back there at the end, trying to, give me words of encouragement once that yellow came out. They did a good job, and shout out to you guys too for putting everything on.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations again. First win of the season for you, Cody McCorkle. Hopefully we'll be seeing you a few more times in victory lane this season. Congratulations. Well executed night. We'll see you very soon, dude.
Thank you.
So that was your winner, Cody McCorkle. Unfortunately, not able to grab a word with third place finisher Gavin Higgins, but it's a well executed night from the young man. I'm sure we'll see plenty more of him for the rest of the season to come. Of course, next week we are at... Where are we at, actually? I forget. Very prepared, as I'm sure you can tell. We'll have to wait and see the schedule. Dover! Dover's always fun in the trucks. And that will definitely be a race to watch, the Concrete Monster Mile. Definitely a hot spot for carnage and drama, much like Richmond. I'm sure you'll see just as much action and drama on the Elite Racing Network in a week's time for the race at Dover. But final thoughts on the Richmond 150, Matthew Weeks, race control.
It was good. Looked like we got the rash of cautions out early and let these boys race late in the race, which is always better when we're able to race and Guess up, I'm a McCorkle getting that win. Way to hold off, you know, Gavin and all those guys on the pressure tires. And all in all, it was a good Richmond race.
Absolutely. Had really all the hallmarks of a classic Richmond race. A few cautions, breeding cautions, some bump and running, some dives, you know, drama, GWC, pretty much every time at a short track you get a GWC. And a deserving winner that executed at the end of it in Shifty Sports' Cody McCorkle for his first win of the season. But that will just about do it for the Richmond 150 round 6 of the 2025 Juicy Spider Truck Series at in the Elite Racing League at the Richmond Raceway for the Richmond 150, won by Cody McCorkle. Many thanks to everyone who came along and watched this evening on the Elite Racing Network, who's following on also on our social channels at on X and on Instagram and everywhere, on YouTube. Obviously, Matthew Weeks joining me in the booth, race control, Jesse Rasimas for producing, everyone else at the Elite Racing Network that gives their time on their evenings, all our race controllers, all our drivers for putting on the show, all our premier partners and sponsors as well. Many thanks. But of course, to the many sets of eyeballs that have been on this race and this show tonight, thank you very much for giving us your time this evening. Cody McCorkle runs out the winner of the Richmond 150, but who will win the Dover 100 in a week's time for round 7 of the Elite Truck Series? You'll have to wait and see. We'll be back in exactly 1 week's time on the Elite Racing Network. But for now, don't go anywhere. It's bye for now.